Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we return to talking about the woke ice cream company Ben & Jerry's. In recent years, this company has become more known for its liberal activism though, more than its tasty ice cream, which admittedly can be good. I mean, how could you screw up ice cream? But yeah, this isn't the first time this company has come up on the show. Last time we covered them was last year, back in October 2018, when Ben & Jerry's came out with a new ice cream flavor called Pecan Resist, which was designed to help people resist Trump, whatever that means. Don't know why anyone would want to resist a man who is trying to make America great again, but that's how low the Democrats have sunk in current year. And now, this time, just this past week, Ben & Jerry's has tried to get woke again, with a new tweet, a new issue, and a petition, and even possibly a new flavor of ice cream to go along with it. Here's a picture of the tweet in question. It says, "This is not what justice looks like. Join the movement now for a criminal justice system that works for everyone." Then below that, there's a picture that says, 1 in 3 black men will be incarcerated during their lifetime, versus 1 in 17 white men. Now, before I go anywhere with this, what does all this information mean to you guys? Because even if I tried to forget everything I know about this issue and the discussion of a supposedly racist justice system in America, well, I still don't see it their way at all. If you tell me that 1 in 3 black men go to jail at some point, that to me indicates that they are committing lots of crimes, much more crimes than everyone else. Or at the very least, you have to say they're at least getting caught more. And since I know the crime statistics and I've been going over this issue for years, I can easily tell you that this is the case. Black people commit way more crimes than any other race in America, and it's not even freaking close. For example, in 2013, blacks in the United States were arrested for murder 4,379 times, accounting for over 50% of the murders in our whole country. That's pretty amazing, in a bad way, especially coming from a group that's only 13% of our population. And these murder arrests, well, they don't come easy, folks. You can't make this kind of shit up. You can't be racist and convict someone for murder over nothing. No, first of all, you'll of course need a dead body and some pretty hardcore evidence to back up your claims. Then of course you have to get a lawyer who can convince a jury of 12 people that this person committed that killing. So yeah, needless to say, all these arrests and this disparity in crime, it's not because of racism like how Ben & Jerry's implies here. I mean, just look at this bogus tweet again. They say this is not what justice looks like. Then they point out that blacks get arrested more, obviously implying that's because of racism, when it's really not. You'd think they'd at least try and back up this stark and offensive claim, but no. Liberals don't really operate that way. What they do is point out disparities, differences between the races that usually show minorities getting the short end on something, like getting arrested more here or them being poorer than whites or something. And then the next step for the liberals is, without proof or justification, they pretend this issue is because of racism, when it's really not. If it is, you're certainly not proving it's racism with this kind of tweet and graphic. If you really wanted to show that one group gets arrested more because of racism, you actually need to prove that there was some racism at play. We need a recording of a racist cop saying racist stuff, or a video of a judge who got caught saying he only convicts blacks more because he hates them. Stuff like that would prove that there's racism in the justice system. But I've never seen any liberal present anything like this, because it's just not happening. If it was, we would never hear the end of it. And if the system was as racist as the SJWs claim, there would be loads of racist evidence like this, but it's not really that way, so we simply don't have the evidence. Basically, to put it briefly, pointing out something like this doesn't make the point that Ben & Jerry's thinks it does. Only biased, stupid, anti-white people would buy into this without questioning it, because most people can see through this charade. This whole tweet is based on a false assumption too. I mean, it's pretty apparent they think these percentages should be equal. This many whites go to jail, so the same proportions of the other races should go at that rate too. And that idea almost makes sense, but only in a very simplistic and unrealistic sort of way. The fact of the matter is, it's just not that way though. Blacks commit more crimes here in America, so they also go to jail more, as they should. It's not like people are forcing them to commit these crimes. There's no big overarching racist system that forces black people to kill each other more. Although I am willing to bet some liberals and left-wingers like Ben & Jerry's, they might argue that that's the case, without any evidence though, and that's why I say they're completely ridiculous. Next, let's move forward and check out the link that Ben & Jerry's put in their wannabe woke tweet. Clicking on it brings you to the Ben & Jerry website, which has a whole SJW section in it called Justice Remixed. And on second thought, I'm not exactly sure if this is a new flavor or just some dumbass liberal propaganda, but what I am sure about is, this is really stupid. Ben & Jerry's is an ice cream company, not a political action group. Come on people, do you really want to insult half of your potential customer base like this? Funny how Ben & Jerry's thinks getting woke will help them make more money. Well, I'm here to say they're just making things worse. But let's go ahead and read on what they have to say though, and see what's up. Below the banner on top, it says this in text: innocent until proven guilty, fairness, justice. Those are the values that guide our legal system, right? Well, maybe for some, but definitely not for all. all, America locks up people at a higher rate than any other country on earth, and bias is baked right in. If you're a person of color or struggling to make ends meet, you're much more likely to be sent to prison for a higher amount of time than a white person convicted of the same crime. It's time for change. Join us as we learn about front-end criminal justice reform and how transforming the system can benefit everyone. Wow, just wow. First of all, of course our justice system isn't perfect. It has its issues just like everything does, like our government or other systems in America. Everything has issues, but these issues that are brought up by Ben and Jerry's, they're not really problems at all. Perhaps America locks up more people at a higher rate, but there's plenty of other reasons for that besides this liberal go-to of racism. I would say we lock up more people because we have more crime here. And if we didn't lock up those criminals, what's the alternative anyway? Leaving more criminals on the streets just so we can lower the number of people in jail? That's pretty stupid because we have more criminals here, clearly. And America used to be less safe because of them too. But thankfully, in modern times, the government and police forces started cracking down on crime. And that's what made this country so great and safe like it is today. And I wonder if Ben and Jerry's ever thought about why we have to lock up more criminals. Besides using their go-to answer, everything I don't like is because of racism, of course. Well, that's not it, you dum-dums. The real reason we have more criminals is we're in a way better country and more people are here or coming here to try and rob us and take our cool stuff and to cheat us. There's a reason everyone else in the world wants to come to the United States. It's because we're the best. Certainly much better than third world shitholes these illegals are fleeing from. And on the flip side, there's also a reason why people aren't dying to get into countries like, say, Venezuela, because those countries are shitholes and Venezuela has been destroyed by socialism. And that's also why these other countries don't have as high of incarceration rates. Less people are committing crimes there because there's nothing really there to steal, break, or take, or cheat. And there's no point in trying to kill other poor people just to steal their shit. They're poor, they don't have anything. Rich people in the US, on the other hand, we have a lot to lose, and that's why we have to arrest more people to keep us safe. Next, let's talk about the second part of their bullshit right here. They claim that a person of color or someone struggling, they're much more likely to be sent to prison for a longer time than a white person. And this is obviously not true at all. First, let's get the poor people comment out of the way. Of course, poor people are more likely to go to jail longer. They're poor and are more likely to steal or commit crimes. And they're more likely to have records or shitty lawyers that get them into jail sentences longer. Conversely, it's pretty obvious that rich people go to jail less because they're rich and they don't need anything. Thus, they don't need to steal or cheat people to get stuff. And also, rich people can hire fancy lawyers to get them better deals in court. So this is a pretty easy explanation so far. Next, let's talk about this white person committing the same crime and getting a shorter sentence than a minority. This is the premise Ben and Jerry's is suggesting, and it's completely false too, of course. If two criminals committed identical crimes in the same area, they would get roughly the same sentence in jail. These judges have rules and minimum sentences and all kinds of other stuff that keeps these things standardized. So I don't know what the hell Ben and Jerry's is talking about. If there are minorities getting longer sentences, then there are other obvious reasons why. Reasons that have nothing to do with racism. Most likely, they're repeat offenders who get longer sentences because they've committed more crimes before. It's really that simple, but Ben and Jerry's and other social justice warriors, they leave that shit out, which is pretty convenient to their plot because they aren't seeking the truth, are they? And they don't really want justice. The system we have is already just and fair, for the most part. No, what SJWs really want is special treatment for themselves and the groups they like. In this case, the minorities. And that doesn't sound like justice to me at all. It's quite the opposite, actually. And believe it or not, this bullshit campaign already has over 19,000 signatures. What a joke. All of this based on lies and bad logic, being used to not only pander to minorities and SJWs, but also Ben and Jerry's is just trying to sell more ice cream and make more money. Make no mistake, people, Ben and Jerry's is a for-profit corporation, so despite them dabbling in SJW activism from time to time, they're really just about that cash. And in case you are doubting this at all, here's a tweet I found from a guy named Vito, which pretty much eviscerates Ben and Jerry's completely. Here he points out that Ben and Jerry's is owned by a company called Unilever, which is a company that employs minor workers in Indonesia. That's right, Ben and Jerry's is preaching to the United States about arresting too many minority criminals, while at the same time, they're also funding child labor for black people. Black kids, they're paying black kids to make their shit. What a goddamn joke. I think Ben and Jerry should really clean up their own act too, and check their own associations as well, before they go and chastise people like Trump or devoted Americans who work in all the levels of our justice system. Ben and Jerry's is essentially saying that all cops, judges, lawyers, jury members, and prison workers, they're saying that all of them are racists, when they're really not. After all, if they really want less minorities to go to jail, they are attacking the wrong people here anyway. If you really want less people like this to go to jail, you should tell the criminals to stop committing crimes. Blacks and browns need to be addressed and told to get their own shit together. But we all know this will never happen happen, especially coming from SJWs like this, who are trying to pander to them and not give them harsh truths. What do you guys think? Is the American justice system really as racist as they say? Or is it the minorities and their crimes that need to be fixed? And what do you think about white people? Are they getting arrested less because of pro-white racism? Or is it because we commit less crimes? Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see y'all next time.